Okay, and now we are streaming over to go meet our mystery and thriller friends. There'll be that 15-second delay that I warned you about. Facebook is so famous for.
Okay.
And here we go. We are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am thrilled, pun intended, to host today Mike Ledwidge, who has written 20 books. Oh my God, amazing. And whose brand new book, Run for Cover, is coming out next Tuesday. We're here to get the inside scoop 1 week before Pub Day. Mike, welcome. Tell us about Run for Cover.
Thank you so much for hosting me. Run for Cover is a thriller. It's the second in a thriller series that I started last year with a book called Stop at Nothing. And Run for Cover is about an ex-Navy SEAL named Michael Gannon, who is just getting comfortable living life off the grid in Utah. And when there is a grisly triple murder in a nearby national park that draws him out of semi-hiding. And he teams up with a tenacious FBI agent named Kit Hagen. And he finds himself on a crisscrossing the country, uncovering a extremely lethal conspiracy. And eventually he finds himself in a head-on collision with a ruthless killer.
Ooh.
So.
Well, Mike, I'm intrigued. I am here for it. And I can't wait to get into all the dirty details with you about every facet of this book. I just want to welcome all of our fans on Facebook. If you've been here before, you know how it works. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy you're here. Here's how it works. I am thrilled to present our featured author to you today, and you have unadulterated access to pick this author's brain. You want to talk about writing, you want to talk about his career, you want to talk about his practice, his book, his characters, anything that you are curious about. Now is your time to ask. So I just want to welcome everybody. Gail is saying, hi, Sarah. Hi, Mighty Blaze. Hi, Gail, top community member there. Gail, we're so happy to see you back.
Hi, Gail.
So let us know what your questions are. My partner in crime, pun intended, and my fellow author, Margaret Pinard, is handling things over on Facebook. Margaret, thank you so much as always. So just go ahead and type your questions in the comment box. We'll get them right over to Mike, and Mike's going to get you those answers to your burning questions. Now, while you are writing them down, I just have got to say a few words about this book. James Patterson is raving about this book. He said, I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. Michael Ledwidge is the real deal. You will thank me for getting you to read Run for Cover. I read it in a day. Great characters, great storytelling, great Ledwidge. Wow, amazing praise there. And Mike, you have co-written 17 books with James Patterson. You have over 20 million copies in print. Amazing, amazing accomplishment. Let us all bow to you, sir.
Thank you. Yep.
Welcome, Linda. Good to see everybody. So, Mike, tell us about writing this book, which you place in Utah, the rugged mountains of Utah. Why Utah?
Well, in the previous book, Gannon was it was in the Bahamas. It started out, it was the setting, it was in the Bahamas, and goes into different places, but in this one I wanted to start out with something brand new. So I said to myself, what's the opposite of a Bahama beach? would be Utah or the mountains of Wyoming, and so yeah, I wanted this central United States to be the setting.
Well, as I'm sitting here freezing my tail off in Boston today, the Bahamas sounds pretty good right now.
There we go.
So do the rugged, glorious mountains of Utah. I love hiking. I love mountains. So that and that is super cool. How did you weave how did you make the landscape part of the characters, part of the story?
That's one of the funnest parts of writing a story is jumping in on all the research of the setting. The setting really is important. Doing research about Wyoming and about Utah, places that I haven't been before. I'd love to go, especially Wyoming seems really, really interesting. But I've seen them in films, great films that I love, like Red Rock West. You've seen that?
Yeah.
With Nicolas Cage. That was such a cool movie.
Such a good
Yeah. So I mean, things like that. So yeah, I mean, just weaving that in, just doing the research is really, it's a learning experience for me as well. It's fun.
Now, Mike, you are not a mountain boy. You hail from the wilds of New York City, the Bronx, in
That's
fact.
right.
So this is pretty far out of your stomping grounds.
Yes.
Tell us about how a city boy like you was envisioning that mountainous range, that rugged that
Yeah.
rugged west. What was your research like? Did you read books?
Read books and stuff, but it's funny. I was lucky enough. Both of my parents came from Ireland,
Oh,
and yeah, they're Irish immigrants, and they both grew up on cattle farms in rural Ireland. And when I was 14, I spent the whole summer farming in Ireland. Yeah, and farming's farming. Cattle farming is cattle farming. So it's funny, you go through life, because at the time I was like, I don't know if I want to go to Ireland for the summer. I'm gonna miss all my friends. I was 14, but it was really, now that I look back at it, like it was an excellent learning experience, because I've used cattle farms for settings in a James Patterson book I did. So it actually really was a lot of great stuff that I got from out of it.
Okay. So you know a thing or two about
About
the
farming.
rugged farm life, even though
Yes.
you're hailing from the wilds of the Bronx there. I
Yeah.
love it. That's so cool. And it's so funny what you said, because when you're 14, of course, you're thinking, I don't want to travel internationally and go live on a farm. I want to stay here with my friends. But now you're so glad you did, because you have all of that knowledge enriching your scenes and your characters, and it served you.
Yes. Yeah. When you write for a living, you find yourself just, thinking, oh, did I ever do anything interesting that I could use for this? Oh yeah, because you forget stuff, but yeah, so it's great.
Exactly. So, Mike, you write thrillers. My God, you've written 20 books, an incredible accomplishment that I can only aspire to. What do you think the secret is to keeping those pages turning, keeping the readers up till 3 a.m. saying just one more chapter? How do you do it?
Well, for me, it was like I've always been like a lifelong reader. I've loved reading, and I was an English major in college and everything. And but even way before that, I used to just read on my own. I really just would. I always had a book ever since I was about, I'd say 10 or 11 years old, and it's always just been a passion. And I've always just really gravitated toward thrillers and popular fiction. I've just always loved, because I remember when I became an English major in college, I thought, oh, this is gonna be cool. We're just gonna read like cool novels, whatever. I'd like to do this anyway, And no, they made us read, English poetry and Beowulf in the Old English and stuff. And I was like, I didn't. This isn't what I signed on for. I thought we were gonna read like John Grisham or the latest Tom Clancy book or whatever. But it's funny now. You get older, you look back. I love poetry and everything. Much more today than I did then. But so yeah, it's just a love of popular fiction that I've had from since I was 10.
I love that. Now tell us about the title and the cover. Did you think of this title? Was it number one? Did it arrive in a flash of genius, or was this number 1001?
Right. Titles are hard because there's so many of them have been used before, right? This one came pretty easily. For the first book in the series, Stop at Nothing, was called a bunch of different stuff, and then we finally, when we got right to the end, I decided, okay, I want it to be Stop at Nothing. So yeah, with this one, my great editor, Peter Joseph, he said that, do you have any ideas for titles? And I gave him one. He's like, no. And I said, what do you think? Run for Cover. He's like, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah,
so he knew right away that was in fact it. Do you kind of ever think about the first title and miss it, or?
No, I forget it. Now that I'm sitting here, I forget what it was.
So Stop at Nothing is currently #1 in fiction on Amazon for the audiobook. An amazing accomplishment.
Yeah.
Right, 1 week out, T-minus 7 days from the second book of the series coming out, which is incredible. Stop at Nothing, the first book, which is currently trending at #1, James Patterson said was flawless. Again, high praise there. Tell us about the cover. Did you love it immediately? Did you ask them for any changes?
No, they nailed it. Both covers so far. Stop at Nothing. I kind of told them what I was kind of looking for. One of the things, just that, for aspiring writers, one of the things that James Patterson told me, one of the tips he gave me, is that the cover really does matter.
It does.
It really does. People will make a decision to buy the book based on a very nice looking cover. And so that's something that I really tried to impart to my editor and to everybody around, and they listened. They jumped all over it, and the cover is beautiful.
Yeah, I feel bad, but I admit it. I will judge a book by its cover. So I want to put it out. I want to put that out to the audience. What about you guys? Do you judge a book by its cover, or are you more evolved than I am? Tell us what you think about covers in the comments. Meanwhile, Mike, how long did it take you to write this book, start to finish, soup to nuts?
It takes about. I mean, I think for a well done book, it takes about a year. I could do it quicker. I mean, if I put a gun to my head, I could do it in half that time. But to let it kind of sit and really kind of give it your full attention, to kind of just, I think you polish it a lot, but about a year is good.
And what about your practice, your daily practice of writing? I mean, first of all, is it daily? I mean, do you rise with the sun? Is your butt in the chair at 9 a.m.? Do you stay there with no lunch break till 5 like Dean Koontz? Or do you, tell us what it looks like when you're writing?
It's funny. It's a little bit different now. When I worked with James Patterson, it was get my butt in the chair, every single day, because you're working with somebody, you don't want to let them down. You want to be on top of everything, and so you want to keep a good schedule of producing pages. But I find myself, I don't write every single day, but I try to sit down and I try to crank out a chapter a day. And then again, for me, that's probably, I don't know how many thousand words, but it's like 4 or 5 pages per day. And again, and usually maybe I'll do that, say 4 days a week. Right? It usually works out that way, right? Because then I'll say, I'm going to do it every single day. But then something comes up or whatever.
Exactly. Life happens.
Life happens. Exactly.
Margaret says, I noticed Mike Has Night by Elie Wiesel as a recommendation on BookBub. What is a book or type of books readers might be surprised to know that you read and enjoy? Great question, Margaret. Thank you.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, one of the coolest things when I first started working with James Patterson back in 2004, 2005, was I got to quit my day job, and which was fantastic, a dream come true. And not only was it great just to write full time, but with the spare time that I had, I really had so much opportunity to do so much reading and do so much research. And I spent so much time really trying to learn about writing and really trying to kind of just deep dive on everything I could think of, from looking at, philosophy, like Aristotle, when he talks about tragedy, and just really, truly, again, like doing research, with the whole impetus of how can I hone my craft as a writer better? How can I tell better stories? What are stories? How can I create better characters? So you get into, what makes people tick.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I've read a lot of stuff, philosophy, and again, it's not so much from a very kind of mercenary sort of aspect of it. Of everything that I would read, it would always be not so much, how can I expand my knowledge of the world or anything like that, more like how can I extract some tip to make my writing better, to make
Yeah.
it easier to do, to make my job easier,
Yeah.
this sort of thing. So I mean, I've put a lot of time, a lot, you know, because it's just been it's been a dream come true just to have that free time. Because I have done it, because and that's another thing I would say to writers.
Yeah.
Figure out, never pigeonhole yourself on how you do it. Because I know a lot of people say like, oh, I just want to, you know, write organically. I want to just sit down and write the first sentence, and then, oh, what's the next sentence?
Yeah.
I've done that. I did that with my first bunch of books, and it worked out. But now I do it a different way. I'm a much more of a, I do outlines, and I research and research and research. So you know, it's because I find that just to be easier for me now, I guess, or whatever. But I always say this, but I'm always constantly, because I used to be, when I first started out, I'd be like, oh, you know, I don't want to read how another writer does anything because I want to figure it out myself.
Right.
Whereas now I'm like, no, to tell me how you do it. Maybe I can steal something from that, or maybe I could borrow some technique from that. And I think it's a much more kind of wiser way just to, you know, take from other people.
So Mike, what can you share with us? What can we steal from you? What have you learned from crafting those characters, from learning the hard way to do it better?
I'll give you one tip, because I can't give you everything, but I'll give you one. And I got this from a philosopher. Read autobiographies. Read autobiographies, because people in autobiographies they'll tell so many interesting stories about their lives, like little details about so many different little things. And so I mean, that's one little tip I'll give you. Read, and again, autobiographies are a lot of times they're hard to get through. They're pretty boring, and sometimes autobiographies, the person might be very full of themselves. Yeah. So you're like, it's kind of whatever. But I'm telling you, you can find so many excellent details about people's lives that, again, if you want to write fiction, to make your characters more realistic.
Ooh, cool tip. Thank you, Mike.
You got it.
I love that. So we had a few questions that were pre-submitted from various mystery and thriller groups. So I want to be sure to get to a few of those. Sure. So Patricia would like to know, what is the worst writing advice you ever got?
Wow. The worst writing advice.
Yeah, let's disabuse us of this notion. Let's put this baby out of its misery.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about advice, but one thing that I find to be insane is when people want to become writers and who say that they don't read a lot. Yeah, I mean, how does that work? You know, it's like, I want to write music, you know. Well, do you listen to a lot of like music? Like, no. I don't think you'll be able to write a really good song if you don't listen to them all the time. So
right. Yeah. Okay. So reading as a key part. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Mike. Margaret says she needs to know where the cattle farm was in Ireland. I think we're all
that's funny. Well, there was actually two, because like I said, my mother and my father. So my mother is from County Leitrim. Okay. And my father, which is in Connacht, you know, whatever. This is from being, you know, having Irish parents. And my father was from Cavan. And they say Cavan is the only free county in Ulster. So there was a cattle farm in each of these. In each of them, yeah. I went from one to the other. And when I was in Cavan, it was more fun because my cousins were around my age. Perfect. Yeah. Whereas the other one, they were just like kind of older people, but everybody was very, very nice. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Margaret says she has relatives near Mallow, so she's especially curious about the Irish connection. Very cool. Yeah. Oh, it's great. I mean, you got to go. The people are the friendliest people in the world. It's true. Yeah. And I also noticed when I was flying there, you look down and they always say, oh, Ireland, the Emerald Isles. And of course, I've heard that. But when you're flying over in an airplane, it is indeed the greenest place I've ever seen. I mean, it's such a deeply verdant emerald green, the deepest, most lush, most living, gorgeous green I've ever seen. And the people were incredibly friendly, and just, you know, life-loving people. It's because of Ireland is in the middle of the Gulf Stream. So when the Gulf Stream, you know, the wind that blows across the Atlantic Ocean, And so Ireland is the first land that the Gulf Stream hits, and the land is warmer than the cold air. Because if Ireland didn't have the Gulf Stream, it would be freezing because it's very far north.
Yeah.
And that's why it always rains. It dumps all that water, and that's why it's so green, because it's constantly raining.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did not
Research.
know that. Yeah, exactly. Research. Apparently I need to set a book in Ireland so I too can immerse myself. I haven't been there in a long time.
There you go.
I love that. Another question, which was submitted in advance. This one from Kelly. She said, "What do you have any weird writing rituals?" Mike, show us your weird.
Weird rituals. No, it's pretty boring. I wake up. I come downstairs. I usually get dressed to work out. Because after I'm done, I'll go get on the treadmill or something. But yeah, I make a lot of coffee. Bring the coffee in.
How much coffee do you drink over there?
I drink quite a bit. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, there's 3 of us in the house who drink coffee, so I'll put on like 10 cups, and maybe at the end there's a couple left. Yeah, I'll drink like, I guess 3 or 4 cups, or I got at least small cups.
Mike comes into a 12 and takes it right up to a 15. The caffeine levels are high, fueling all this creativity and all of this energy. Ooh, another fabulous question from Margaret. She says, "Do you refuse to talk about certain aspects of the process with outsiders before a certain point? Are you superstitious?" Yeah, tell us.
A little bit, yeah. Yes, I think so. I think if you especially, yeah, no, definitely. I definitely won't talk about a book. Like my wife is my first editor, so I run things past her all the time. But and I'll tell her this story. It's funny. My youngest daughter, who still lives with us, before I'll commit to say, okay, I'm going to write this as the story, because she's not a big reader, but she listens. And if I can, she's 21, so if I can get her to go, yeah, I like that. That seems interesting. Because again, she's not a super duper reader. I'll go like, okay, good. If she's interested, if I can see that she's listening and paying attention, and because okay, Dad, whatever. But if I can get her to be interested in the story, I'll say, okay, yeah,
Okay, so interesting. Okay, so you tell your wife from the beginning, so no superstitions about that.
No, with my wife, but I won't tell. Like, I won't say to people, "Oh, I'm working on this book," or I won't even tell anybody.
And when
only the people who are involved.
Yeah. And when do you feel safe to share the news?
It's funny. I won't even talk about the book. I'll say, okay, I have a book coming out next month or something. If you want, you want to pick it up or whatever. I'll tell my mother, hey, Mom, the book. At least she'll buy a copy, right? Okay, Mom, the book's coming out next, in February or whatever, and so I'll tell her that, but I won't tell her what it's about.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
She has to figure it out.
I love it.
Fun. I mean, would you want to know what even? It's funny with me. Just to be a reader, I won't even read the jacket copy. If I like the writer, you know what I'm saying? I just want to open it up and just draw me in, and take me on the journey. I don't want to know what's going to happen next.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'm the opposite. I need to know. I have zero self-restraint, and sometimes I even read the last page first.
Oh, wow.
I need to know. I need to know what's going to happen. I can't deal with the anxiety of not knowing. So, oh my gosh, that's so funny. Oh, Margaret says that prompts her next question. Have you ever lied about what your job is in order to evade questioning about your work? Also, she has a 2-part question. So let's hear that first. Have you ever lied about what you're working on, or what you
of course, lying is a sin, right? So I don't want to be sinful. Have I ever lied about? Yeah, I've avoided the question. I've had people say, because if somebody notices, if I go into a store, let's say, in the middle of the day all the time, and like, what do you do? Like, do you work from home or something? I just feel like, I work from home. I don't like to talk about it, but whatever. I mean, if somebody says, are you a writer? I'll tell the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we should come up with two lies and a truth about you. You can, so that the next time someone asks you, you can say, I'll give you two lies and a truth. I'm a male escort. I'm a writer. I'm a vampire, and I have to rest during the day. And then
Yeah,
and then they can guess. They can guess. Oh my gosh, Margaret, I'm loving all your questions today. She says, what occupation would you choose if not a writer? What would you be?
it's funny. That's a good question. When I was younger, I wanted to be a police officer. But what would I be right now if it wasn't a writer? Oh, I don't know. I like to cook. I might be a chef or something.
Ooh, what's your best dish?
Yeah, maybe a chef.
What do you think your best dish is?
I make an excellent chicken cutlet sandwich.
Woo.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go Irish on me there, but no, you're segueing over to my land.
My wife she's Irish as well, as Irish American, but she grew up in an Italian neighborhood in Yonkers, and so we eat a lot of Italian food.
Italian food is good. I'm not gonna lie. Hi Joanne. Hi Lucinda. Welcome. So Mike, back to Run for Cover. What's one thing you want people to take from this book or experience having read this book?
Well, as in all the books, they're heroic thrillers, the heroic quest. I think I think all thrillers, done right, like a good thriller, like a good thriller film, or look at Casino Royale, right? The James Bond film, something like that, something really good. I think it leaves you with a really cool feeling when you're done with it, about these people, standing up against evil, somebody standing up for the innocent people, fighting for justice. A little guy against, surrounded, like David and Goliath, all that stuff. I really think that's, that inspires me. And that's exactly what I want people to kind of get out of it, to feel inspired, that just that heroic spirit that we all have inside of us and can tap into. I think that's the whole purpose of so much of Western literature, right? It's going way back to the Iliad and the Odyssey and everything else. I mean, this is that's what I'm trying to, I'm putting my small part to kind of help with that.
Oh, I love that. I love that, because I think so often we feel that we don't have the power. We feel that we're only one person, or we're too small, or we don't have a bigger platform or enough followers on social media, or what could we do that could possibly matter. And so I love that you are, showing on the page that that we all,
what one person can do. Yeah, it's so true. Because and there, right. And even there's been stories in real life where people where one person has changed history. And so, yeah, there's always, always don't give up, and fight for justice. It's really important.
I love that. I love that. Empowering people to get out there and fight.
Right. And again, and there's so much fun. So it's not even like, where you're moralizing and getting people to, listen to my sermon. This is just it's baked into the cake of it, because and again, thrillers is just something that I love, and so many great thriller films and everything else. And I think that one of the coolest things about growing up when I did in the late 80s and early 90s, when I was still in college, I mean, it was like the golden age of thriller films.
Yeah. If
you think about it, think of all the great Harrison Ford, like Tom Clancy films, right? They were really great movies.
So good.
Yeah, like Witness.
Witness. Oh my God, I loved Witness.
Right? I mean, so when I was in college, I mean, every Friday there would be another classic. I mean, you'd see like The Fugitive came out. Then the next week it would be like The Untouchables. Then,
oh my God.
Then like Goodfellas came out. Like just every single Friday, you'd be like, okay, what classic are we? So you got used to so many of these great classic films that all came out in this pocket of time where I was like really kind of, where my imagination and, being young and everything. And really, I think that really influenced me to, that's why I love thrillers so much. Like even like psychological thrillers like Fatal Attraction and
totally.
Yeah. In the Line of Fire is a great movie with Clint Eastwood. And one of my favorite movies is No Way Out.
Yes. Oh my
with
God, so good.
Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman.
Yes.
And this book, Run for Cover, somebody said to me that it reminded them of, it was like Witness meets No Way Out.
Oh my God, amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, and actually another Kevin Costner movie that you just mentioned, The Untouchables. I remember that I was in a writing class one time, and the teacher used the scene in The Untouchables on the stairway at the end, the big shootout right before that, as how you effectively build suspense, because the mother is trying to drag the baby carriage up the stairs
Yes,
one
right,
bump at a time, and all of her suitcases, and Kevin Costner's just trying to get her out of the way because he knows that this guy he's been chasing for all these years is finally
right.
coming. This is his chance to get him. And
That's right.
you were sweating when you watched this lady trying
And
to
the
get
slow
the baby.
motion going down the steps. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so
Yeah, it was fantastic. And it was so funny because I believe it's like 2 weeks later, because that year, that was like the year that Kevin Costner became a movie star, because nobody really knew him before that. I think The Untouchables came out, and then like maybe that came out in June or something. And then like in August, No Way Out came out. And that was such a great film too. So you're like, oh man, this guy, forget it. He's so good.
He's so good. Yeah, exactly. And then Robin Hood. I mean, there was nothing that
there you go.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are out of time, but what a perfect note to leave on. So I just want to remind everyone that Michael's brand new book is out next Tuesday, Run for Cover, and through our partnership with bookshop.org, which supports independent bookstores, you can buy this book. You can pre-order it today. It'll ship next Tuesday. You'll have it in your hot little hands, getting ready to read it up. And you can support independent bookstores. So it is a win-win-win. And we will be posting that link in the comments so you can grab your copy and support indies. Hooray. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing so much about your process and about your book and your time on cattle farms in Ireland. It has been such a pleasure having you. Congratulations on having the #1 book on Audible right now.
Thank you.
And we can't wait to read Run for Cover next Tuesday. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time right here on Mighty Mysteries.
Thank you. It was great.